Our favorite school to beat in the Big Ten would be the next one that's on the schedule. We don't really necessarily have favorites. It's the next one.
What gets you so excited about coming to these days in anticipation of the season?
Well, it's kind of like the start, right? You kind of get a chance to see all the other coaches and all the other players, and then our players get a chance to kind of represent, our great university, and then after this, it's kind of on. Everybody's getting into training camp and get ready for the season to start.
What's it like playing in the Big Ten Conference, and now with the new big media rights deals and so many more eyeballs on this great football conference? I mean, what makes it exciting and gets you going as well?
Well, I think it's the passion of the fan bases, the size of the stadiums, the history, the tradition. It's really kind of all there, right? All the things that you're looking for. And then specifically when you talk about our division, whether it's us or Ohio State or Michigan all being ranked inside the top 10, it's going to be very, very competitive.
Yeah, competitive, and you mentioned inside the top 10, expectations high, coming off that Rose Bowl win, and 2 800-yard rushers returning to the program. So how do you level those expectations with your program and your players and try to keep things even keel, knowing that the stakes are really high this season?
Well, fortunately, we've been in this situation before, so I think that helps. We don't really try to level the expectations, just kind of embrace them. I'm also not trying to, create them myself. If people want to talk about us, that's fine. But we're just kind of getting ready to try to be the best we possibly can and get ready to open a season with West Virginia. Play well and build on that, for the rest of the season.
Yeah, opening up in prime time, game number 1. I mean, have you experienced that before?
Yeah, with my time in the SEC as well as in the Big Ten, I've been fortunate to be in these situations. Last year we opened on the road against Purdue, blackout game at night, so very similar from that standpoint, but obviously being at home. West Virginia, there's a lot of history, tradition, geographic, from a region perspective, it makes sense. They'll travel well. So having West Virginia come to our place should be a great one.
Can you describe the difference between nerves and adrenaline, especially in a big game like that, and throughout the course of the season for you as a coach? Like, at what point are they nerves? Are they good nerves? And then when does the adrenaline kick in for you?
Yeah, I think it's all positive, right? Those nerves, if that's how you describe them, it's just your body naturally getting ready to perform at a high level. And I think that's really important, right, for the players and for the coaches to recognize that. It's not nerves where you start to question whether you're prepared or you're ready for the moment. It's your body naturally getting ready to put yourself in the best position to compete.
And then following a game for you, there's so much adrenaline and so much that goes into coaching just one game in the college football season. What do you do after a game? Do you go home? Do you relax? Do you watch college football if it's a day game? Do you try to put your thoughts to tomorrow and wait till Sunday to reevaluate the tape? What do you do?
Yeah, so, at a place like Penn State as the head coach, I'm fortunate because I got to meet with the team afterwards. I got to meet with the athletic director. I got to meet with the trainers. I got to do media responsibilities. So usually I'm the last one out of the locker room, which helps because when you average 106,000 fans per game, allows everybody to clear out of there. And then I try to get home as quickly as I possibly can. That's why coaches, we love the 12 o'clock games because it allows you to have some normalcy after the game. If it's a night game, you're in the hotel all day preparing with your guys, and then the game ends after midnight, so you get no family time, and then Sunday we're back in the office early. So, that's the other positive of being at a place like Penn State. When I am able to leave, it's not a very far drive to the house, but it's a special place. But for me, I'm just trying to get back to my family as quick as I possibly can, and then relax and try to watch some other people play.
What's it like for you walking around State College? You mentioned you live close by. I mean, what's it like being the head coach at Penn State?
Well, obviously, it's a small college town where everything revolves around the university, the athletic department, and then specifically the football program. So people are great, but it's not like I'm going to be able to just kind of blend or disappear. I was a head coach living in Nashville And that was a much different experience than obviously being a head coach at Penn State and specifically in Happy Valley. So people are great, but in terms of time with my family and going out to dinner, people are great, but obviously sometimes you just you want some one-on-one time with your kids and your wife.
Sometimes it's easier to grill outside, right?
That's exactly right, or be in the basement.
Yep. So much is talked about football and the X's and O's of the game and winning and winning and winning, but you're also growing these young student athletes as young men and to go on and do great things in their life, not just on the football field. What makes you most proud as a head coach?
Well, I think it's that, right? If you're in it for the right reasons, which to me, if you're coaching college football, it should be about the total development. The wins and losses are really important. I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying, but if you're in college football or coaching high school football, it should be about the development of your young people. And that's in school, that is in the community. We just had a group of, I think, 16 guys that did a trip to New York City, going to different businesses, having different experiences, meeting alumni. Had a great time. We had a group that just went to Guatemala. So these experiences are really important in graduating and making sure that when football does come to an end, they're prepared, ready, and excited for that next phase of their life.
And as we prepare for our first Big Ten on NBC in primetime, I have a couple of Big Ten questions for you. So I'm going to have you repeat my question. Favorite school to beat in the Big Ten? You can say our favorite school to beat in the Big Ten is?
Our favorite school to beat in the Big Ten would be the next one that's on the schedule. We don't really necessarily have favorites. It's the next one.
Okay, wildest student section in the Big Ten besides Penn State?
Yeah, wildest student section in the Big Ten, I would say, is Iowa. And I would say part of it is the student section and the fans and all that, but a lot of it too is just how their stadium is built. It's a really tight sideline. They're right on top of you, so you feel them.
Best athletes from your school all time. So who is the Mount Rushmore of Penn State?
Best athletes of all time from Penn State, that's a tough one because we've had so many good ones. One of the first ones that jump into your mind is LeVar Arrington, obviously at the linebacker position at LBU with the history and the traditions there. Saquon Barkley falls in that category. Obviously, when you're talking about Heisman Trophy, Cappelletti, it's hard to not include him in the list, but you really could go on and on. It was just so many great ones. Franco Harris, who just recently passed, which is a great loss for our community, was a tremendous player, but you really could go on and on and on. There's just so many really good examples. Someone's gonna be upset with me that I didn't mention them. Yeah.
It's all good. There's so many rivalry trophies in college football. We see it in all across the board. What is the weirdest rivalry trophy, would you say, in the conference?
Well, the land grant, ours, right? The one with Michigan State. If you haven't seen it, I'd strongly recommend you taking a peek. It's kind of like your grandmom's kind of have like an end table or a coffee table or an armoire or whatever you describe it as. It's kind of like that, and then there's just like things like stuck on the side of it, top of it. It's a very unique trophy is how I would describe it.
One of the big storylines for you guys this year is the quarterback position, and sophomore Drew Aller appears to be your starter. How do you keep the focus on what he needs to accomplish, not the expectations and the hype around it? I mean, how do you keep him kind of grounded in that moment?
Well, first of all, for us at this stage, it's still a battle. All of our positions, are still open battles. Bo Pribula is competing for that job as well. Drew obviously played in all the games last year, at least 10 of the games last year, and had really good experience, came in as a highly recruited young man. So obviously I understand the buzz and the excitement there. It also helps that he's 6'5",
yeah.
242 pounds, and can make all the throws. But for us, we really just don't spend a whole lot of time talking about those things within our facility and in our building. They're out of our control, the buzz and the things that people are talking about, and he's earned that. So for us is just make sure that we're spending our time wisely and investing in the things that are going to allow him to be successful in the football field. And as much as you can, try to tune those things out and try not to directly answer the question.
Yeah,
Right?
there you go. I noticed that. Well done. Not your first rodeo, Coach. Okay, so a couple local to Pennsylvania questions, which we're going to have fun with. What is the most Pennsylvania thing about you?
The most Pennsylvania thing about me maybe is, there's certain words that we say, like water, like we say it like D-E-R. My wife and kids kind of make fun of me about that. Maybe not my kids, because they've grown up here most of their life now. But that's probably there's some other things that I say that my wife just thinks is hilarious. We've had big arguments about cheesesteaks. Obviously growing up where I grew up. And I'm kind of unique because my background is I grew up just outside of Philadelphia, but my dad's from Pittsburgh. So we spent all our kind of Thanksgivings and Christmases and stuff in Pittsburgh, so kind of both ends of the state. But I would say probably certain words and how we pronounce them.
Gotcha. You had that Flyers Penguins rivalry always, right, between the Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Give us a Pennsylvania stereotype that is true.
A Pennsylvania stereotype that is true. I would say specific to Penn State, everybody within like 2 hours of Philadelphia claims Philadelphia. That's something that everybody on the campus kind of makes fun of. But I'm not necessarily sure about specifically a stereotype.
Okay. Best football player to come out of the state of Pennsylvania?
Yeah, the recent one, obviously Saquon Barkley, who I just spoke to the other day. He's the guy that kind of jumps out in my mind. But there's just, when you talk about from a tradition and history standpoint, there's been so many Hall of Famers come out of the state of Pennsylvania. That's hard not to mention one of those.